more and more eyes are starting to look at Aston Villa, and it's now going to be 30 years. Gut feeling, I don't think it's going to be that man. He could still stay, but for me, with the squad cost rules, I just can't see it. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Europa League this season, by the way. Gotta be winning it. You've gotta be winning it. Emery finally breaks and assaults a referee. I think in the Premier League, we will finish. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Villa on Tour, where, we're still struggling with summer ideas. I'm not joking. Roll on pre-season. We need the content. Thank you. Anyway, today I'm going to be reacting to your very, very, very early season predictions. Whether that's about a specific player, where we're going to finish this season, specific competitions, what's going to happen against a certain team, and some random, completely weird ones as well, which are quite funny. I've got my very own predictions as well. I've got 3, 4, 5 bullet points, I think, that I'll go through towards the end of the video, so stay till the end. I put this out on my Twitter asking for suggestions and predictions, and I got about 150 replies, which is mad, so shout out everyone who got involved. It's massively appreciated. Anyway, let's crack on, people. Right, AVFC Stato Elite account. Go and follow him if you don't. Ashley Young's record from 2007-2008 of 14 Premier League assists in a single season for Aston Villa will be broken. Interesting, looking at that. 14 assists in a single season in the Premier League from Ashley Young. Unbelievable. What a period. It would take something special to break that. Who would it be? Rodgers, Asensio if he comes back, even Watkins? I know he's the number 9, but in terms of number 9s, he gets a lot of assists in comparison to others. But could there be an outside shout? And this brings me on to someone who was mentioned a lot on Twitter, maybe even the most out of any player. The Don, the main man, Danielle Maron. I am so excited for what he's going to bring in the upcoming season. Like I said, so many of the replies were about Maron. Maron fans player of the season, Maron player of the season, top scorer in the Europa League. Maron's going to have a breakthrough season. He's going to have the most assists or goals. That ties in with AVFC Stato. Maron will score the most goals for Aston Villa. Europa League Golden Boot. I am so excited to see what Danielle Maron brings this season. I don't want to put too much pressure on him, and I do feel sorry for him in a way. He came in January, and no doubt Champions League football would have been on his mind. The bloke was playing in the Champions League final the year before with Dortmund. Oh yeah, I've joined Villa, playing in the Champions League. That's what we would have promised him. Wasn't in the squad, was he? I do feel for him, and I think it was kind of with the view of this upcoming season, signing him in January. He was probably brought in with the view of maybe replacing Leon Bailey. I don't think he's that type of player, although he could be. But I think we probably knew Bailey would be on his way out this summer. And Maron, I'm excited to see what he can do, mate. Whether that's on the right wing or up front, I'm excited. And this comment kind of ties into that from Villa Tales. Maron will take the striker position of Watkins by November and will become the player of the season for Villa. We've seen that happen before with Watkins. Danny Ings came in. Watkins basically shook him off. Duran came in, earned his spot in the starting 11 towards the sort of end of 2024. And then Duran got sent off against Newcastle, was suspended, and then got shipped out. And then Rashford came in January, sort of took the place of Watkins, played in some big games ahead of him. You're looking at the PSG games, that Brighton midweek game where obviously he scored. I think he probably would have started the FA Cup semi-final as well if he didn't get injured, Rashford. So we've seen it before, multiple times, players coming in and sort of overtaking Watkins. But is Maron that man to do it again? Maybe, but I don't see it personally. Although I do see him playing a hell of a lot of football, getting a hell of a lot of goals. There was a period in sort of the springtime where Maron scored 3 in a row and then lost his place in the team, which is harsh. If I was Danielle Maron, I'd feel a little bit hard done by, but I'm excited to see what he can bring. As a fan, he's quick, he's electric, something always happens with Maron, so let's see what he can bring. Big season ahead for him. We'll move on to some more random ones now. Elliot says, me, you and Simon do a trio on karaoke on our first European away of the season. Elliot, mate, does a bear in the woods? I'm so excited for the European trips, even the pre-season ones. It's only a couple of weeks till, well, this time in a couple of weeks, we'll be in Rostock in Germany for that pre-season game. I cannot wait for that. Rumours about Marseille, Villarreal pre-season friendlies as well. It's annoying the Europa League draw is so late. I think it's August the 29th, which doesn't give us a lot of time to plan it. But I believe match day 1 is at the end of September, match day 2 is at the start of October, so that'll come quick. And you know the drill, people. Of course there'll be karaoke on Villa on Tour. That's what we do. Elliot, I look forward to it, mate. Ralph says, Villa don't get a second keeper signed and Lander Emery has to play a game. I imagine a lot of people won't even know this, but Emery's son He's a goalkeeper in the under-21s. I've watched him a couple of times at Bodymore, and I don't think there's any danger of him taking that number 1 spot in the first team. I don't even think he's the tallest, you know. I'd be surprised if he's 6 foot. I don't think he's got a serious chance of playing for the first team. I think it's a classic case of, you know, when you're playing for like the under 14s, under 15s, and your dad's the manager, and you're maybe not the best player, but you play week in, week out because your dad's the gaffer. I think there's an element of that. On the theme of goalkeepers, ATS says, Joe Gauci has a massive breakthrough in a cup and possibly even leads us to the final. Kelleher-esque, trust me. I don't know if I do trust you there, ATS. I do like Joe Gauci. Seems like a good bloke. He's only played 1 or 2 games, I believe. The one that springs to mind is him playing in that Wickham game in the Carabao Cup away from home where he made 1 or 2 decent saves. Is he that level yet where we trust him potentially in the Europa League, or if the first team goalkeeper, whether it's that bloke or somebody else, gets injured? I'm not sure. Gonna just jump in before we go to any more predictions. If you are enjoying this video so far, please do smash a like on it. It is always massively appreciated. If we can hit 1,000 likes, that'll be unbelievable. And do get involved in the comments. There's going to be so many talking points throughout this video. I'm interested to see what you guys are saying. So as always, get involved in the comments and let me know what you're thinking. Subscribe to the channel as well. Tiff did a prediction literally just before we started.
My prediction is that you'll hit 100k subscribers.
Cheers. So if you want to get me close to that 100k, please subscribe if you haven't already. About half you watching this video right now, I can see you haven't even subscribed to Villa on Tour, and it's going to be a massive year for the channel. We'll be at all the European games, all the pre-season games, hopefully. So do subscribe. Big year for the channel. I think that Ben Brogio will score this season. I love Ben Brogio. Ben, if you're watching, please let me know how to say your name right. And I'm sure he is watching because I know Ben has been a fan of Villa on Tour for a long time, and I'm now a fan of him. So Ben, I'm rooting for you, mate. I know he came on in that Wickham game in the Cup, and he was on the bench, I think, for 1 or 2 games. Crystal Palace at home. I would love it if Ben scored this season. I know he's been flying. I think he's had a couple of injury issues, but in the under-18s, he's been flying. In the UEFA Youth League as well, I know he scored a few big goals. Bloke's a baller. Ben, I'm rooting for you, mate. Big season, son. I've just seen what's coming up. I've just seen what I've screenshotted here. I'd say probably about 50% of the replies I got on Twitter were about Crystal Palace, Wolves, Newcastle, and Man United, and how we're probably going to lose to all of them in the upcoming season. We will lose to Crystal Palace. We will beat Palace away this season. Mark my words. Sweezy, I admire your optimism there, son. We will beat one of Newcastle or Crystal Palace away. I don't know, man. Like, is this year the year? The last few times we've gone to Palace, I know this year it's midweek as well at Selhurst Park, so please don't lose 4-1 again. Rich says, hi Max, I think we'll beat Palace, Wolves, Newcastle and Man United, but lose other games. Rich, surely we don't beat all of them. Come on. Wolves and Newcastle at home. Yes, granted, we've got decent records in the last few years, but just away, mate. You might as well just write it off. It's such a shambles. No bogey teams, just bad performances or wrong tactics. 5th place finish and a trip to Wembley. That'll do, Rich. That'll do, mate. How many times have I been to Newcastle or Old Trafford and it's just been crap? Molineux as well. I said in the recent video, like, I've been 6 times. Never won. We break our duck and beat Newcastle away. We beat Wolves at Molineux and win at Selhurst Park. This is from a Palace fan, Eddie. Lose 5-1 at Palace away. Brilliant. Cheers, Eddie. We finally beat Glasnow's Palace away. Will it happen, people? Will it finally happen? I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it. I like this from Rob. I'm a big fan of Rob. Unai Emery will be sent off at least once. He's come close a few times, hasn't he? He's come close a few times. I know in the press, mostly, he's very, very respectful, but when he loses his on the sidelines, there's no stopping him. I think his head was about to explode at Old Trafford on the last game of the season. You know, when the camera was just like circling him and he was just looking directly at the referee. It might have been the players, I don't know, but I'm going to imagine it was the referee and he was just looking directly at him. He's like a supervillain sometimes, Emery. I think he's so funny. I love him. Bouba Kamara's form will always be better when his hair is braided. I love that. Yeah, he's gone a bit wild recently, hasn't he? He sort of just let it go, whoom, and just go. Slightly different to yourself, Rob. Hope you don't mind me saying. He seems to change it though all the time, doesn't he, Kamara? So braid it, keep out your eyes, and hopefully his form improves. Last one from Rob. Tyrone Mings will score a match-winning goal in front of the Holt, and the entire stadium will erupt in floods of joyful tears, including the away fans. Okay, fairs. I just want him to score. I just want him to score. Like, our centre-backs don't seem to score, unless it's Konza against PSG, or he loves scoring against Wolves at home, doesn't he? But just Mings, I'd love him to score. I think he scored in Gerrard's first game, didn't he? Against Brighton at home, I believe it was. But just a big, bullet header from Mings. Like even Konza's goals aren't often with his head. Can we have a centre-back scoring with their head this season, please? A big bullet from a corner. We've come close a couple of times, but Mings in front of the house, I'll be in tears, probably. I love this one from Tidge. It made me smile. Max will get the middle prize on Prize Where It Lies. I would love that, although towards the end of the season, it was just kids, wasn't it? Unfortunately, now this is unfortunately, the kids always win. I don't want the kids to win. I want to see them crying. Nah, I'm only joking. But obviously all the staff just like kick the ball onto the circle, even if the kids don't get it, which I think is just utter woke nonsense. I want to see drunk adults falling over, and if that's me, so be it. Tidge also says we'll lose a game, conceding 7. That's not very optimistic. Come on. His last one says, if Jacob Ramsey has a pretty much injury-free season, he'll be capped for England in the next year. Well, it's a World Cup year, so we shall see. Me and Dan did a video on 1874 about Jacob Ramsey, and it's a massive year for him. He's had so many issues, maybe not in the last 12 months, but especially with injury. Stay fit and just get a little bit of consistency. I think it's a big year for him. I think he's got to take that level up, or he might be a PSR pawn. Yes, I've mentioned PSR for the first time. I'm surprised we've got this far. But I think if he's going to have a similar season to the one he's just had, I think he might be at risk. But I love Jacob Ramsey. He's a homegrown local lad, and he seems like a good bloke as well. And the thing is with him, I said it on Dan's channel, we know the player he can be. He just needs to stay fit, stay consistent, and get back to that level that we know JJ can get to. Because if he does, he's a serious, serious threat. This made me smile from Daniel. Totally random, but I like it. Villa will play Fenerbahce in the Europa League, and Mings will snap Duran in half with a tackle. Yes, if you've been living under a rock, it looks like John Duran is going to go to the Turkish league with Fenerbahce. I believe Jose's still there, so a Duran and Jose combination. Goodness me. Although, if Duran's going to mess about and cause issues like he did at Villa, I don't think Mourinho is going to take any so it wouldn't surprise me if Duran is off to another second, third-rate league in January 26. But Mings getting into Duran, that is a battle that I'd love to see. Ty Doyle says, Unai will wear a tracksuit and trainers on the touchline at Villa Park for one game this season. I remember when me and Simon used to do the podcast, and every single week we used to talk about what Unai Emery was wearing. He's always quite smart though, isn't he? Remember that body warmer that he had, Stone Island? Our gaffer wears Stone Island, what geezer. I know Guardiola does as well, he's quite a fashionable bloke, but Unai Emery, geezer. Ty also says Villa to finish top 4 and win the Europa League and League Cup. I don't see the domestic trophies being taken all that seriously, to be totally honest with you. Unless we get a decent run like we did in the FA Cup in the year just gone, but we blew it, didn't we? No, absolutely still not over it. Yeah, that Palace game, I was in Bromsgrove yesterday for an eye appointment, really exciting. And I saw a lad walking around in a Crystal Palace shirt in Bromsgrove. Like, what's that about? Although it did rattle me. It absolutely rattled me. I don't hate them. They just annoy me, Crystal Palace. EC says, win a game 8-0 at Villa Park. I'd take that. Going back to Crystal Palace, how much airtime are they getting? Knocked out of all 3 competitions by Crystal Palace. Given their track record, perhaps they'll even get us kicked out of the league. Brilliant. Draw at home with Burnley and Sunderland and win away at the Etihad and St James's Park. Typical Villa. Just in the last bit. Emery finally breaks and assaults a referee. Maybe. I mean, did you see that stat in the week? I can't remember who tweeted it, but an outlet said that Villa have been done over the most by referees in the season just gone, like with 6 or 7 occasions. Are you surprised, people? No. If that continues, I can only see Emery's blood pressure getting that little bit higher, and at some point, he's going to snap. Now, these upcoming predictions are more about sort of where we're going to finish. Andrew Buck, what a guy, by the way. I miss you, Bucky. Out in the group stages of the Europa League, winning the League Cup and finishing second in the league. Buck, that's wild, man. I can't see anything but Villa finishing in the top 8. It might be complacent, it might be ignorant, but my word, if we can do it in the Champions League, it's got to do it in the Europa League. Do the bare minimum. There'll be more rotation, obviously, in the Europa League. But come on, we've got to be looking at that top 8, surely. Winning the League Cup, I just can't see it. We'll lose to Man City in the 4th round, probably. Finishing second in the league, yes, optimistic. We know Emery is all about consistency in the Premier League, week after week after week. And obviously, we're still so early. We're only at the start of July. But finishing second or third, who knows, man? We'll see the recruitment that Villa obviously do and the other teams around us do. But how good would that be? If you finish second, you might as well go for the league. Alberto Solano, what name, says we will sign a couple of big names and finish in the top 3. Paddy says we will be top of the league at Christmas, 6 points clear, only then to drop off through squad depth and finish 4th. Obviously, we don't know where we're at, and we'll know a lot more in a month or 2, but squad depth, I think, as it stands, we might lose a player or 2, and we will shave the squad a little bit, obviously. But I think we're looking pretty decent. I mean, that's sort of similar to the season we had a couple of years ago, where if we beat Sheffield United, We would have gone top at Christmas, which looking back now was just mad. And yes, there was a slight fall off in the second half of the season due to squad depth, and we finished 4th. So would I take that season again? Yeah. Herbie says, going back to Marlon, people love him. Marlon lights the league up and we signed Bakayoko, that young winger from PSV. Finishing 6th, but lifting the Europa League. I'll take it. I will take it. We will win the Europa League and finish 5th in the Premier League. We will finally beat Man United at Old Trafford. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Europa League this season, by the way. I think people are looking at it, and probably rightly so, that looking at the teams in there, yes, there's some big ones, Porto, Roma, teams who have so much experience in Europe. Gotta be winning it. You've got to be winning it. There's a lot of pressure on it for me. Chloe says, Wrexham will have a minor setback in the league and finish 7th or 8th as we throw all of our hopes and efforts at the Europa League come the end of the season. I think Emery's the type of bloke, and I can see it going this way, to first and foremost focus on the Premier League. He always talks about it. Consistency in the league, that's the main priority. And it will be interesting to see come March or April if we are, 7th or 8th, like Chloe says, but also in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, how we sort of prioritise. The question is always asked, isn't it? Would you take coming 15th in the league and a Europa League win, or coming 4th and not winning a trophy or the Europa League? I think we can do both. I like talking and hearing about those questions, but it's not really realistic, is it? Because we can do both, and Emery will absolutely want to do both. And with Tottenham winning a trophy last season, the Europa League, Palace winning the FA Cup, Newcastle winning the League Cup, more and more eyes are starting to look at Aston Villa, and it's now going to be 30 years since we won a trophy, so it's not looking good. I like Harry's optimism. Short and sweet. Villa come top 4 comfortably. Slightly longer one from Paul. We will finish top 10 but win a trophy based on our little to no transfer dealing so far. The commitment to reducing SCR, squad cost rules, feels like we can't pull an emergency lever in January like we did last season, and I don't feel like we have an expendable mega talent like Duran to balance the books. I think if Duran wasn't a massive loony, we would have sold him. But I absolutely see Paul's point in the fact that we can't sell someone who's worth a hell of a lot of money and we don't really want to keep, for whatever reason that is. We don't really have that player. Look, we've got players worth a hell of a lot, like Morgan Rogers, but there's absolutely no way we will look to do something with him like we did with Duran last season. It just won't happen. Ian says, top earners head out the door by the end of the summer and replaced by much lower cost Munchy Mediterranean imports to drive us towards wage compliance. I like that. Munchy Mediterranean imports. But yeah, that'll be the aim this summer. Coutinho has finally left Aston Villa. He's gone to Vasco da Gama. I think he had 12 months left on his deal, and fair play, he's gone. He's off the books. Finally, that helps massively. Big wages gone. Buendia, Dendoncker, Moreno, players like that, they just need to be shifted as well, which will absolutely help SCR and will give us more freedom in the transfer window. But in terms of our recruitment, it will probably be younger talents on much less wages. For example, the goalkeeper situation. A 32-year-old on massive wages, out the door, however painful that'll be, and a younger player, 24, a Chevalier, a lot younger, a lot lower wages, European experience, will still be at a decent level, although it won't be close to Martinez, and it just won't happen. I think that'll be the sort of level that we're looking at. Again, attacking talent, Bakayoko, already been mentioned from PSV. A lot younger, a lot rawer, but we know what Emery can do with raw talents. He just improves players. So that'll be the sort of angle we're looking at probably this summer. Thomas says, Unai remembers we have Garcia. And Gavin says, Garcia will challenge Cashmore for a starting right-back slot. Loads of talent and rate him highly. Can't wait to see if he lives up to it. I really like Andres Garcia. We haven't seen a lot of him. There was a sort of spell in January, February time where he played a few games. He obviously played in the FA Cup as well. But I really like him. He's coming from Spain. He looks confident. I know there's a really small sample size at the moment, but he looks like he's got the attributes to be a really, really exciting player for the future. He's quick. He gets his head down. He goes forward. He gets a decent cross in. I really like the look of him, and he will absolutely get more minutes this season. That's if he doesn't get loaned out. I know a lot of people will want to get a right back in this summer. I'm probably in that camp as well, but what does that mean for Garcia? He's still massively young and he's got time on his side, absolutely. So if that does include a loan to, I don't know, the top end of the championship, more experience in England, go and play 40 games, and then he comes back next year more comfortable with the language, with the league, with the country, and we're in a much better place. And then potentially you let the likes of Cash go. I don't know. It's hypothetical, but that could happen. Callum says Mings will make 40 plus Prem starts and be our best defender of the season. I mean, if Mings is making 40 Premier League appearances, that's quite impressive considering there's only 38 games. However, if the Premier League was to start tomorrow and that Newcastle game at at Villa Park was tomorrow, I'd start Tyrone Mings. I love him. I think he's got attributes that no other Villa defender has got, and he's our strongest defender. Fact. Stay fit, Tyrone, and do what you do best, son. What a guy. Chris says Villa finished third, 20 goals in a season, finally gets broken. That'd be nice. McGinn lifts a heavy silver object. What could that be? I like someone has just replied with a gif here as well, by the way. That made me laugh. Can you just imagine McGinn holding a trophy? Oh my God, man. Come on. It's about time. How good would that be? Chris's last point is that Villa take at least 4 points out of 18 against Palace, Man United and Newcastle. 4 points from 6 games. It's not massively optimistic, but it's Palace, Man United and Newcastle. And as already discussed, we know how that goes, people. Last few now. Dan says, we will stop Man City winning the league on the final game of the season with a late equaliser from Marlon. Marlon loving. He's getting so much love, ain't he, Danielle? The Don. I'd love that, though. And going to the fixtures, we've got Liverpool at home, penultimate game of the season, and then Manchester City away. You're hoping that for at least one of those sides, it's going to be a bit of a dead rubber. I know Liverpool tailed off towards the end of this season, just gone, didn't they? So hopefully that can happen again. We'll see. Last one then, before we get into mine. From official AVFC news, Leon Bailey will go to Saudi Arabia either towards the end of the summer window or in January, and Samuel Illing Jr. will be given a chance to prove himself after a breakout season at Middlesbrough last season. I think calling it a breakout season is a little bit optimistic. Let's check the stats. So the first half of the season, he was on loan at Bologna, and then in January to the end of last season, he was at Middlesbrough. Bologna, 16 appearances in all competitions and 2 goals. For Middlesbrough, 10 league appearances and 1 goal. I'm not sure you can call that a breakout season. I'm really not. Just a gut feeling, but I don't see it with him. I don't see him as working his way into the first team. I think he's one of these players, unfortunately, it's the world we live in, who's going to be used as a PSR pawn, and he'll just be used to make a little bit of cash, whether it's this summer or next or in January, I don't know. But he will go and make Villa a little bit of money. But if he goes to have a good loan spell, so obviously raise that fee, that'd be nice. Anyway, time for my predictions. Now, I've got 4. They're all about slightly different things as well. So the first one, Morgan Rogers plays centrally and gets in all competitions 30 goals or assists, so 30 goal contributions. Last year he got 14 goals and 15 assists in 54 appearances in all competitions, so 29 goals and assists, I believe. So just one more, Morgan, one more. And if you're getting 30 goals and assists in a season in all competitions, that is just outrageous. And it will propel him to be in that England squad for the World Cup in America, Canada and Mexico next year. And whether he'll start in that England team, I don't know, but if that happens, it's a pretty much certainty he'll be in the squad. So, exciting times for Morgan Rogers. Got it here as well. He scored 8 goals in the Premier League and got 11 assists. We talked about Ashley Young at the start of the video getting 14 and that being the record for Villa. Morgan Rogers got 11 last season. If he can get a few more, I'd take that. I know a lot of people don't like him on the right-hand side, but even when he was going through a poor spell on the right-hand side and we felt like he wasn't impacting the game, he was still getting numbers. I remember that Bournemouth away game where he wasn't really doing anything, and he puts in the ball for Watkins to break the record, so he's still doing bits, even if we feel he's ineffective. It's almost as if Unai Emery knows more than we do. Who'd have thought it? Next one now. Aston Villa's brand new goalkeeper will save at least 2 penalties in the new season. Gut feeling, I don't think it's going to be that man. He could still stay, but for me, with the squad cost rules, I just can't see it. I've got Jacob's tweet here from the article. Reducing Aston Villa's wage bill from the mid-80s of clubs' wage to turnover to below 70% has been a big focus for senior figures. So what does that point to? Your biggest earners getting cut. And yes, it's helpful. Like I said, your Coutinho's, Buendia's, Dendonkers, Moreno's, hopefully all go this summer. Unfortunately, it looks like we are going to have to sell one of our highest earners at least, because we're not just going to get hit with a fine next time, it's probably going to be worse. If you missed it, this comes from John Townley. UEFA has imposed an unconditional €11 million fine on Aston Villa for breaching financial regulations. Anyway, next prediction from me. I think in the Premier League, we will finish 5th. I'm going to go 5th now. I'm going to do my Premier League predictions closer to the start of the season when obviously we know a little bit more. But just a gut feeling, I think Aston Villa will finish 5th and qualify for the Champions League. And anyway, last prediction from me, and it's quite specific. Aston Villa will beat Porto in the Europa League final 2-1, and the winner will be scored by a brand new signing, someone who doesn't play for Aston Villa right now. I'm going to be honest, I just picked one of the strongest sides from pot 1 on the football rankings predictions on who's going to be in pot 1 in the Europa League, and it's going to be Porto. We're going to do them in Istanbul at Besiktas Stadium, and we're going to win the Europa League. Just like that. Easy, mate. Like I said, the winner's going to be scored by a brand new attacker who we don't know yet. And Aston Villa are finally, in their 30th year of hurt, we're going to win a trophy, the Europa League, and it's going to set us up for Champions League. We're going to get in there that route. Doesn't even matter if we finish 5th or 15th. Europa League win, trophy secured, Champions League, mate. Fingers crossed. I'd take that. How good would that be? Anyway, we'll end on that high note. Please do get involved in the comments and let me know some predictions, whether it's about players, score lines, trophies, whatever it is. Get involved in the comments. Give me a list if you want on your predictions going forward, because I look forward to reading them. Leave a like on the video as well. 1,000 likes will be unbelievable. Go and check out all the other videos on Villa on Tour that have come out over the last couple of weeks. The holiday vlogs. Me and Dan looks back on some really, really old Villa on Tour videos from when I was 16, 17. That was a really, really good laugh. So go and check that video out if you haven't already. I shall see you next weekend for a very exciting video. I don't really know what that looks like yet, but we're going to be out and about in town, having a few beers and having a bit of an Aston Villa quiz. I'm not going to say any more than that, but stay tuned. Lots of content to come on Villa on Tour. Big plans. Take care, look after yourselves, and all that is left to say is up the Villa.